Imagine a spinning top, set in motion on a wooden floor, wobbling slightly but refusing to fall. At first glance, it seems almost magical, defying gravity, standing tall while everything else obeys the pull of the earth. Yet this simple toy holds a profound lesson about life, motion, and the hidden forces that guide us. Just like the top, we are subject to invisible rules, patterns, and energies that shape our journey, though we rarely stop to notice them. Richard Feynman, a man who could turn even the simplest phenomena into windows to the universe, often reminded us that understanding comes not from memorizing equations, but from observing the world carefully, with curiosity and joy. When you watch a top spin, you witness physics in motion. Angular momentum keeps it upright, gyroscopic forces resist tipping, and a delicate balance between motion and friction sustains it. Life is no different. Our own stability, mental, emotional, and spiritual, relies on the momentum we cultivate through consistent action, attention, and purpose. At times, friction appears in our path as challenges, failures, or distractions, nudging us to wobble, to question our balance. But just as the top resists a complete fall when spun with care, we too can maintain resilience if we keep our energy aligned and our focus steady. It is easy to become discouraged when circumstances seem to push against us, when gravity feels heavier than usual, or when every small decision feels like a precarious tilt toward failure. Yet, physics shows us that movement itself creates stability. Once a top stops spinning, it topples immediately. Once we stop striving, our resilience wanes. Feynman often described learning as an adventure, a process of playful experimentation. In this sense, life's challenges are not obstacles but experiments, opportunities to observe, adjust, and learn. The wobble is part of the system. It tells you where your center of gravity lies, where you need to correct your motion, where subtle forces are at play. By embracing the motion instead of fearing the instability, by paying attention to the feedback in every spin of life, we cultivate a kind of equilibrium that feels effortless but is grounded in deliberate action. This is where insight meets perseverance. The top does not fall not because it is indestructible, but because it obeys the rules of motion perfectly. And so do we, when we align our energy with the principles of learning, reflection, and consistent effort. We begin to see the interconnectedness of things, the same forces that keep a bicycle upright, a spacecraft stable, or a figure skater spinning faster when arms are pulled in, also operate within our own growth and momentum. Every decision, every habit, every thought contributes to the spin that keeps us upright. The secret lies not in avoiding wobble, but in learning to ride it, to harness it, to let the momentum carry us past what seems insurmountable, transforming potential instability into graceful motion. Now imagine that same spinning top, but this time it begins to slow. The wobble grows, tiny vibrations threaten its balance, and you realize that even the most perfectly aligned system cannot escape the inevitable friction of reality. There is suspense in this moment, not because the top will fall immediately, but because every small shift matters, every tiny misalignment compounds, and the outcome is uncertain. Life, in its essence, mirrors this delicate dance. Richard Feynman often marveled at how everyday phenomena reveal the universe's subtle laws, and he would remind us that the most profound insights often emerge from observing the ordinary with extraordinary attention. The slowing top is a perfect metaphor for the tension between motion and entropy, for the reality that momentum, whether in physics or personal growth, is not eternal. The forces that sustain us, habit, discipline, focus, knowledge, relationships, require constant input. Neglect them for even a moment, and the wobble increases, threatening to topple what took so long to build. Yet within that tension lies opportunity, the kind that demands awareness and courage. Suspense in life, like in physics, is not inherently negative. It signals a system in motion, a mind stretching toward understanding, a spirit resisting stagnation. The top's wobble forces attention. One must observe, adjust, and compensate, noticing forces invisible to the casual glance, just as we must detect subtle imbalances in our own lives, biases, fears, or habits that pull us off course. It is here, in the tension between momentum and decay, that creativity thrives, that learning becomes more than rote repetition. Feynman's approach was never to simplify life to formulas, but to embrace the uncertainty, to dive into the why behind everything, from why a spinning top stays upright to why a glass fogs up when we enter a warm room, or why ice cubes crack in drinks. The suspense of the slowing top mirrors the suspense of discovery, the unknown beckoning us forward. We are forced to engage, to experiment, to adjust our approach in real time. In these moments, patience is tested, attention sharpened, and insight deepened. Just as a scientist studies a system under stress to understand its boundaries, we confront challenges not to be defeated, but to learn the extent of our own resilience. The wobble is not a flaw, it is information. Every subtle shift in direction, every microfall in recovery, offers clues about the internal and external forces at play. Life's suspense, its unpredictability, is a teacher disguised as uncertainty. If we ignore it, we risk collapse. If we observe it with curiosity, we gain mastery. The same physics principles that explain why bridges expand in summer, why spinning skaters accelerate, or why kettles whistle, also remind us that motion is fragile, beautiful, and dynamic. We cannot command the universe, but we can learn to navigate it with grace, to translate wobble into stability, to transform suspense into anticipation rather than fear. And so the spinning top teaches us the ultimate paradox. Stability emerges not from stillness, but from motion, from conscious engagement with the forces that threaten us, from learning to persist even as the world nudges us unpredictably. And now, consider the moment when the spinning top seems to regain its rhythm, when the wobble stabilizes and the motion becomes smooth again, not by chance, but because the forces are aligned and the energy flows in harmony. Life works in a similar way. Moments of chaos, uncertainty, and imbalance are not the end. They are signals, invitations to adjust, to refine, and to continue spinning. Richard Feynman often emphasized that understanding comes from paying attention, from asking questions, from following curiosity wherever it leads, even into seemingly trivial phenomena like the whistle of a kettle or the arc of a water fountain. In the same way, we learn resilience and purpose by observing the subtleties of our own lives, the small signs of imbalance, the micro-challenges that hint at where our focus is scattered or our momentum lost. The top spins upright not because it is invincible, but because the energy invested in it interacts with the natural laws of motion in a precise and elegant dance. Similarly, our own progress depends on energy, intention, and understanding. Each thought we nurture, each habit we strengthen, each skill we refine adds to the momentum that keeps us upright amid turbulence. Suspense and challenge are essential. They teach us to sense the unseen forces, to feel the wobble before it becomes a fall, and to act with awareness. When we recognize the principles behind the spinning top, we also recognize that consistency, alignment, and awareness are not abstract concepts. They are real, observable, and actionable. The same physics that explains why ice skaters spin faster when they pull their arms in, why bridges expand in summer, or why balls bounce differently depending on material, reveals a profound truth about human effort. Small, deliberate adjustments have enormous impact. Our life's angular momentum is built from repeated actions, thoughtful reflection, and mindful engagement with the world around us. Even in moments of apparent instability, if we continue to act with purpose, we restore balance, regain speed, and extend the spin. And just as the top's motion teaches us to appreciate the invisible forces sustaining it, our own experiences teach us to appreciate the interplay of energy, focus, and understanding that keeps us moving forward. So embrace the wobble, welcome the suspense, and invest in the momentum that aligns you with your goals, with curiosity, with joy. Stability is not a passive state. It is a product of action, attention, and persistence. When we understand this, we see that challenges are not threats but guides, nudging us toward awareness, growth, and mastery. The world is a vast laboratory, every day a spinning top, every motion a chance to learn. Watch, observe, adjust, persist, and let your own energy interact with life's natural laws. Through this mindful engagement, we cultivate resilience, insight, and grace. And just like Feynman taught through simple yet profound examples, the universe is not a mystery to fear but a playground to explore, understand, and enjoy. Every wobble, every slow spin, every regained balance is a lesson in physics and life, reminding us that with curiosity, momentum, and attention, we can remain upright, purposeful, and in motion. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.